No one expected that out of hundreds of moments at Jin's concert, which was supposed to be a celebration of unity and pride, it was the one thing that didn't happen that became the center of attention. Taehyung and Jungkook were not present together. Not just an absence from a single frame, but the lack of togetherness that had long been seen as a symbol of solidarity. Questions arose. Was this intentional? And if so, what message was being sent? The appearance of BTS members at Jin's solo concert was certainly a major spotlight. Names like RM, J-Hope, and Jimin succeeded in creating an emotional atmosphere in their support for Jin. But when it came to the two youngest members of the group, Taehyung and Jungkook, the spotlight instead turned into a giant question mark. Jungkook and Taehyung both attended the concert, but separately. Not a single official documentation or fan leak showed them interacting. Furthermore, they even arrived at different times and did not sit close to one another. For two individuals once known to be extremely close, this was more than just physical distance. It was an emotional gap that couldn't be ignored. Some fans tried to rationalize the event. They traced the order of the members' arrival and matched it with amateur videos circulating from various angles of the arena. The results were consistent. Taehyung entered without showing any interaction with Jungkook, and vice versa. No greetings, no eye contact, not even a brief moment that could spark a positive speculation. On the contrary, a strong suspicion emerged that the two had deliberately avoided being in the same space or time. This was no coincidence, and fans knew it. Suspicion grew stronger when some fans realized that both Taehyung and Jungkook wore striking outfits, as if to signal their individual presence, not as part of the duo that had been so beloved. Taehyung chose a classic, elegant, and cold style, while Jungkook went casual but asserted his personal identity. This symbolism did not escape public notice. They're creating distance, and it's deliberate, wrote a major fanbase observer on social media. The question now is no longer, did they come together? But why didn't they? For two figures who were once very close, this shift is too clear to ignore. Some fan analysts speculated that both were undergoing personal processes, especially in the post-military transition period and as BTS enters a new chapter in their individual careers. Yet many others believed this was a silent form of communication, that something is indeed not okay between the two. More than mere speculation, this moment has divided public responses into two camps. Some refuse to see it as a sign of rift, citing privacy and professionalism. But the majority reads it as a clear signal that something has changed. Their absence together in one moment at Jin's concert wasn't just a matter of logistics. It was an action that created a narrative. It was a silence that spoke. Whatever is truly happening, the fact that there was no interaction, no documented togetherness, and no clue that they wished to shift public perception, all point to one thing. This was a highly conscious decision. The decision not to appear together at such a crucial moment and under media spotlight could only happen if there were an urgency to keep distance. Certainly, the public cannot simply conclude what goes on behind the stage. But in a world where every expression and action of celebrities is analyzed down to the smallest detail, the absence of a single moment can be the strongest proof. When two big names like Taehyung and Jungkook choose separate paths on the same stage, it's not just about who sat where. It's an unspoken signal, but a deeply felt one through silence. They delivered something louder than words. And to this day, fans are still trying to interpret the message behind that distance, a distance that, to many, feels like more than just physical. But what must be underlined amid the flood of opinions and assumptions is one important thing. Are we truly witnessing reality, or merely consuming a narrative constructed by the waves of social media and algorithmic virality? In an era where a single video clip can become evidence, and one screenshot can shape the perception of millions, it is very possible that what we believe to be reality has actually gone through a very subjective selection and framing process. So, the question is, are Taehyung and Jungkook truly keeping distance? Or are we simply being guided by our own expectations of their relationship? It must be noted that most public reactions to this event are based on amateur clips, incomplete camera angles, and interpretations of facial expressions that lasted mere seconds. Much of this information comes from TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and posts on X, Twitter. which inherently carry opinions, not verification. Some videos have even been cropped or given strong narrative overlays, as if to say this is what happened, when in fact things could look very different in a broader context. Hence, an important question arises: are our reactions shaped by facts or by edits? Furthermore, is it not possible that their absence in one space was simply due to management policy or basic logistical reasons? Or have we taken emotional conclusions too far, based on personal expectations toward the Taekook relationship? What if the narrative of their drifting apart was actually triggered by the demand for sensational content and not by the reality of their relationship? This phenomenon reflects something much larger than just the distance between two artists. It is a mirror of how mass opinion is shaped, developed, and amplified amidst fandom euphoria. When one piece of information is shared without context, it can turn into a new and irrefutable truth, especially when delivered with emotionally stirring narratives. So, it's important to ask, who benefits from this situation? Is this purely an organic occurrence? Or are there hidden interests at play in shaping the public narrative? It is undeniable that today's digital ecosystem tends to favor tension over clarity. Content that sparks conflict is more viral, more widely shared, and stays longer in the algorithm. So, when a narrative about conflict or tension among idols emerges, we must pause and ask, are we consuming facts, or are we being manipulated by clever media strategies? It's also important to understand that in the South Korean entertainment world, the decision to appear, or not, in public is often not merely a personal choice by the artists, but part of a larger narrative management. So when Taehyung and Jungkook did not appear together at Jin's concert, we must also consider industry context and agency dynamics. Isn't it too hasty to immediately interpret this as a sign of a broken relationship? Therefore, we urge viewers not to be passive consumers of this information stream. Are you truly sure that what you see is the truth? Or have you also been swept up in the wave of opinions shaped by social media? Is it possible that this entire narrative is just the product of algorithms and the market's craving for drama? Criticism of information is a form of love for the truth. We don't deny the possibility of tension, but we refuse to believe blindly without complete and objective data. So, let's reflect together. Rewatch the footage you've seen. Ask yourself again, does the narrative you believe stem from concrete evidence or from assumptions wrapped in emotion? We acknowledge that the information compiled in this report is sourced from various unofficial channels, including social media platforms such as TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter. Therefore, it is important to emphasize that the validity of this information still requires thorough verification. Our goal is not to guide opinions, but to open a healthier and more critical space for discussion among fans. We invite you, our respected readers and viewers, not to swallow information blindly. Discuss, examine, question. Because only with a skeptical and reflective mindset can we be an audience not easily shaped by currents, but capable of distinguishing between sensation and substance.